This was one of Magwenya's tweets in response to a Reuters claim that African leaders were in a bunker as explosions were heard in Kyiv from missiles launched by Russia from the Black Sea. Magwenya said, "We didn't hear any explosions. Instead, we saw people going about their day leisurely." He later told News 24 that there was obviously some deliberate misinformation. Cue the latest Security Council meeting on Ukraine, where the issue of these missiles became a proverbial diplomatic football.
Let's not forget that on the very day President Zelensky presented his peace formula to the G20 last year, Russia unleashed missile strikes across Ukraine. And let's not forget that Russia carried out an airstrike against Kyiv when the Secretary General was visiting Ukraine last April. And just last week, as you heard, when a delegation of African leaders traveled to Kyiv in pursuit of peace, they were greeted by a barrage of Russian missiles.
This is a war of choice for President Putin. He has shown contempt and disregard for Russia's obligations under the UN Charter. He is indifferent to the cost to Ukrainians, to Russians, and to the world. He fires missiles at Kyiv, even as world leaders visit Moscow, seeking to build peace.
Residential areas and critical infrastructure continue to be under constant attack. Kyiv, the capital, has been under continuous and increased attacks with missiles and illegal Iranian drones acquired in clear violations of UN Security Council Resolution 2231, including when foreign dignitaries are or have been in town. It happened when the Secretary General visited Kyiv. It happened again last week when African leaders were making a case for peace.
But Russia was having none of it, claiming Africans themselves denied the missile strikes during their presence in the Ukrainian capital, attempting here to quote the presidential spokesperson Magwenya.
This is yet another staging by Western sponsors. Let us quote a Ukrainian news site. The delegation from South Africa, headed by President Ramaphosa, denies a missile strike by the Russian Federation. And this was announced by the press secretary of the president, Vincent Magwenya. He said that he took a video from a hotel in Kyiv when the so-called incident occurred. Next, so it's strange that we never saw nor heard the explosion. Apparently, there is deliberate misinformation being spread here. During the alarm, people were simply going about their day-to-day lives. As we expect, the mission will be seen, but some of the obstacles are very alarming and others are strange, such as the so-called explosion. When he was asked a clarifying question whether he denies the explosion in Kyiv, from his own experience and those of others, yes, I deny this. We were all surprised when we were brought back to the hotel and we traveled along roads where people were going about their day-to-day lives. This is very strange, and this is a deliberate disinformation campaign.
Worth noting that President Ramaphosa, in a press conference in Kyiv, later made reference to the strikes as an example of the need for de-escalation in the conflict. But that was lost on the Russian ambassador.
This is an example of how Ukrainian propaganda of misinformation is being carried out and how Western sponsors of Kyiv eagerly lap this up.
Opposing sides giving opposing perspectives on the same incident amidst the fog of war, even using the words of those seeking to find a path down the middle. Siobhan Brashby's SABC News, New York.